Peace, everybody. What's going on? What's happening? It's your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. All right, January the 10th. And Supreme Mathematics is knowledge cipher, which born knowledge. Okay, so that means 1 plus 0 equals 1. All right, so knowledge cipher born knowledge. So today I want to get into breaking down what that means. All right. But before I get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share the channel. So I know it's been a minute since I've been on here or whatnot, but I had to take a break for a while, and I'm going to be doing that constantly. However, I want to get on here and talk about this mathematics, all right? Breaking down what is knowledge and cipher. What does that mean? And what is epistemology? We have to bring that into the conversation, all right? So first and foremost, I want to explain what is knowledge, okay? And I have notes here. So knowledge is a form of familiarity and awareness, understanding, or acquaintance. So that means that you become familiar with something, or you bring it, or there's awareness about information, or you having some type of understanding about skills, or become acquaintance. Basically, you become familiar, you become aware. That's basically what knowledge means. Mean to know, right? Oh, what word means to know? Science. Right? Okay. So now there's various forms of knowledge. All right. So the one that I wrote down here is propositional knowledge. So propositional knowledge means knowledge of facts. All right. And then you got the knowledge of acquaintance and the knowledge of description. So a knowledge of acquaintance means being familiar with a person, place, or thing through processional experience. Okay. So for example, you could say, well, I'm familiar with that individual right there. I've seen that person before. That is knowledge of acquaintance. Knowledge of description is dealing with propositional knowledge, which is covered by facts. So you can say, well, today the sky is blue and there's sun outside. So that is knowledge of description. So you know today the sky is blue and you know that it's sunny outside because you've seen it, right? Okay. So that's that. Now, let's go into the concept of epistemology. So now, what is epistemology? Epistemology, okay, is basically according to the big book of philosophy, which is this book right here. This is the book I'm holding up. Hold on, y'all give me a moment. Let me take the little background thing off here real quick. Okay, this book right here is called The Big Book of Philosophy by Naomi Zach. All right. So according to this book, epistemology is the answer to a question about what knowledge is and how we know that something is true and the relation between sense, perception, and abstract truths. So what is abstract truth? So abstract truth is basically dealing with like subjective truth. Let's put it like that. Okay. So whereas concrete is more like objective. So when something is abstract, that means it's beyond the physical, meaning that you cannot see it, but you can only feel it. You know what I'm saying? Or you can symbolize something. Whereas something that's concrete is in the physical that can be seen and that can be recognized. All right. But let me go ahead and continue. So basically, to understand epistemology is to understand the theory of knowledge. That's all it is. It's the theory of knowledge. So when you deal with epistemology, you studying the knowledge of the information in itself. You studying the origins. So the question becomes what, where, when, how, and to what extent. Again, what, where, when, how, and what extent. So when you dealing with the origin of that particular knowledge, where did that, what is the meaning of this? Where did it come from? When did it come into existence? And how did it come about? How did the how was it that the conclusion has been drawn to this information? And to what extent or degree is it valuable or is it meaningful, right? Okay. So, the reason why epistemology is very important to this subject because it pretty much describes what knowledge cipher is. So, knowledge cipher borns knowledge is basically epistemology. Because at the end of the day, when you're doing the cipher, right, you're building on that knowledge, right, and you're finding out the information about that particular knowledge, which gives about the epistemology. Because you're dealing with the theory of the knowledge. Okay. All right. So now let's get into the origin of how this word came about. All right. Let's get into the origin of the epistemology. All right. So let me pull it up for y'all real quick. Okay. So the etymology of the word epistemology is derived from the ancient Greek episteme, meaning knowledge, understanding, skill, scientific knowledge, and the English suffix ology, meaning the science or discipline of what is indicated by the first element. So the word epistemology first appeared in 1847 in a review in New York's Elected magazine. The title of one of the principal work of Fichte is I'm not even going to try to say that word, which after the analogy of technology, we render epistemology. All right. And the word was first used to present a philosophy in English by Scottish philosopher James Frederick Ferrier in 1854. It was the title of the first session of his Institutes of Metaphysics. So it says this section of the science is properly termed the epistemology, the doctrine or theory of knowing, just as ontology is the science of being. It answers the general question, what is knowing and what is and the known, or more shortly, what is knowledge? Now that's the best way to break it down, right? All right, so now you have a concept called the principle of epistemic closure. So what is the principle of epistemic closure? So the principle of epistemic closure basically states that knowledge is closed under entailment, right? Also, what is known to follow from knowledge is known to be true. Okay? Again, so according to the information, right, according to the definition, knowledge is closed under entailment, meaning that it follows the suit. So like A follows B, B follows C, C follows D. You get that, right? And it says also what is known to follow from knowledge is known to be true. So meaning that based on the information that has been studied, right? And you hear this a lot, especially from our brothers and sisters from the nation of God's earth. They always talk about show and prove. So show and prove brings about factual information based on that knowledge. So whatever knowledge is being put out there, right, it has to be shown and proven to be exact, to be factual. Okay, so that's where the concept of the principle of epistemic closure come into place, because you're studying that information carefully, you're analyzing, you're trying to get all the research, all the documents, all the information that is needed to verify it. All right. Now, okay. So basically, yep, that's the principle of epistemic closure. Now let's also go into epistemological rationalism. Epistemological rationalism, right? It holds that human knowledge is gained through a priori or prior to experience. So priori, which is like the Latin word that means prior to experience. Okay. It says, yeah, it holds that human knowledge is gained through a priori or prior to experience, insight as distinct from sense. So this came from Britannica. All right, the information that I got. So basically, uh, the human knowledge comes in before you actually get a chance to experience life. So it's like when you're young and you're in school, right? You learn about the basic things. You learn all these basics before you actually get a chance to experience on your own. You learn about the knowledge about the world around you before you actually go and step foot into the world. You're being aware. So now you could be able to make your own judgment. You could be able to have your own reasoning, right? And logic. Okay. But we're gonna go into that. Yeah, so basically rationalism dealing with reason and logic based on what you learn. So when you learn about the concept of critical thinking, right? That in itself is epistemological rationalism because you're learning how to be able to think outside the box. You're able to analyze something before you start to act on it, right? At least that's what we're taught to do, but it's not always the case. So think of critical thinking as a form of epistemological rationalism because you're dealing with logic and reasoning. Again, when you're dealing with critical thinking, you're dealing with logic and reasoning. That's what you're dealing with. Now, there's another concept called epistemological empiricism. Okay, epistemological empiricism deals with knowledge that is derived from experience and experimentation. And this comes from byjus.com. That's the website. So epistemological empiricism deals with a knowledge based on your experience and experimentation. That sounds more like phenomenology because phenomenology can fall into this category of dealing with the phenomenon, right? Based on one's experience, based on what one interpret, right? So this can fall into the concept of subjectivity. I mean, both rationalism and empiricism can fall under subjectivity, right? But the empiricism is like both the both subjectivity and the objectivity because you actually had a chance to experience something. So you speaking from knowledge based on experience. And also rationalism is based you speaking from knowledge based on what you have been taught. So rationalism is based on knowledge what one has been taught and based on one's opinion. Empiricism is based on what one have experienced. Okay. So remember those two: epistemological rationalism and epistemological empiricism. All right. So so yeah, that's all I really wanted to build on. That's all the notes that I took. But here's the book, a recommendation that I have for you guys. Okay, that goes into dealing with more about the knowledge and more about the foundation of it and philosophy in itself. So the books that I would recommend is this book right here called The History of Philosophy by A.C. Grayling. All right. So this goes into the history of philosophy, goes into different philosophers, right? So in this book, it talk about Immanuel Kant, um, and also Rene Descartes, just to name a few. But yes, this book right here, I would recommend you guys to get for your own personal usage. And also, this one right here is called The Big Book of Philosophy, as I showed you guys earlier. So I recommend y'all check out this book by Naomi Zach. All right. And then here's another book here. It's more like a encyclopedia. Well, not encyclopedia, but it's a dictionary actually. It's a dictionary that deals with different form of theories. Okay. So this book right here is called Dictionary of Theories. Dictionary of Theories. And this is by Bohemily. Yeah, Bohemily. Right. But this book right here is valuable. You can find a lot of jewels in here. You can find so many theories in this dictionary. So um if you guys don't have it, make sure you put it in your bucket list so you can have something to look for if you need to look up something, or if you looking up for like different theories, different philosophies. This is the book to have. So I'm gonna post all three of them up. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's it. That's all I want to build on. All right. So the supreme mathematics is knowledge, cipher, knowledge. So when you hear knowledge, cipher, knowledge, think of epistemology. That's all it is. That's all it's describing, epistemology. Because when you cipher, basically when you build, you're building on knowledge. And when you're building on that knowledge, you basically constructing and you're studying and you bringing about the foundation of that knowledge. And that's basically what epistemology deals with. Constructing, studying, and building on foundation. Again, constructing, studying, and building on the foundation of knowledge. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And shout out to the chat. Thank you for coming through. Until next time, peace and power and elevation be to all of you. And let's make this new year a prosperous year for us. Let's make this new year where we can be more enlightened and be more wise. All right. Let's continue to grow. All right. So until next time, peace and power and elevation be to all of you. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm logging off. Thank you.